Okay, we'd like to call to order Town of Niskayuna Planning Board and Zoning Commission, February 9th, 2026 meeting. Ms. Bergami, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Laflamme,
Here.
Ms. Strain,
Here.
Mr. Khan,
Here.
Ms. Gomes. Okay.
Here.
Mr. Drescher,
Here.
Ms. Gold,
Present.
Chairman Darpino.
Here. Okay, next up is the approval of the February 2nd, 2026 meeting minutes. This was rescheduled from January 26, 2026 due to weather. May I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Strang.
Uh,
I will second them. Any comments or corrections?
Yeah, I forgot to put my note on paper. Ooh,
Okay.
yeah, I can't find it now.
Do you remember which section it might have been in?
It was page 5, but I'm not sure. I can't find it. I guess I'll let it go, but I did have a minor change.
Okay.
Just can't find it.
If it's just a typo, Leslie, you can email it to us. If it's a content change, then you should probably take your time to find it.
I don't want to hold things up.
We could come back maybe.
Okay, we'll take just a moment.
I'm not finding it.
Okay.
Move on.
All right. So all in favor of the February 2nd, 2026 meeting minutes, state by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. February 2nd, 2026 meeting minutes are approved. Next up is public hearings. We don't have any public hearings, so we'll move on to privilege of the floor. Privilege of the floor is open to any resident of Niskayuna wishing to speak about any planning or zoning matter. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Charles Horowitz. I live at 1223 Ruffner Road. And I spoke at the last meeting, but I want to respond to some of what seemed to have come during the discussion of the house that is proposed to be built on the golf course. I want to say that for myself, it has never been, and it is not now, anything personal, okay? My opposition to all of the projects that have been put forward from the Mohawk Golf Club has never been, my opposition has never been because of any personal opposition or animosity to any individual. It has always been because one presentation after another has just simply been a lousy idea. That is the basis. That is where I live on Ruffner Road is an established neighborhood. I have lived there for going on 37 years. It is nearly fully built. What we have been presented with over time, over the past amount of time, is different numbers of houses, different locations of roads, different locations of driveways, everything that has been highly disruptive to the neighborhood that I moved into, to the neighborhood where I have lived, and to the neighborhood where my friends and neighbors have improved the area. All of the ideas that have come to us are just been disruptive to that whole notion of a neighborhood. The house that is being proposed now, that's not part of the neighborhood. This is not going to be another neighbor who is going to attend block parties or who you knock on the door and, you know, buy a tool, borrow a tool, or this or that. This is a project where somebody wants to put up a house and he wants to say, and I need a way out. I know I'll knock down a house and just put in the driveway and go through that neighborhood. That also is a lousy idea. And that is the basis of my opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else present wishing to speak? Privilege of the floor. Okay. Clark or Laura, is there anyone online wishing to speak at privilege of the floor?
I believe everyone online is an applicant.
Okay. And did we receive any correspondence since the last meeting?
None to the planning board.
Okay. All right. So seeing as there's no one left for privilege of the floor, we will close privilege of the floor and move on to unfinished business. We have none. So next up is new business. First is Resolution 2026-08. This is a resolution to make a secret determination for a major subdivision at 6 St. Gerard Drive. Project lead is Ms. Gold.
And we have a resolution, which I would like to move.
I'm going to read it first and then we'll. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that the Planning Board and Zoning Commission hereby determines that this project will not have a significant effect on the environment and hereby directs the town planner to file a negative secret declaration as noted above with the additional following comments from the CAC findings. 1, the developer shall explore LED lighting and energy efficient design options for the new homes as well as explore low, mow, and pesticide-free options for lawn maintenance as the properties are adjacent to wetlands. 2, the developer shall use native species whenever possible in their plantings. 3, the developer shall explore installing motion sensors on any outdoor lighting so that it turns off at night and doesn't disturb surrounding wildlife. May I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Ms. Gold,
Second?
second by Mr. Laflamme. Do we have a representative from the applicant online or here? Oh. Welcome, Mr. Paleschi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good evening. Good.
Okay. You had a chance to hear a couple of the conditions.
Yes.
So the CAC, I believe Mr. Lisi had a meeting with the CAC. These things were discussed. So as a, what do you call it? Routine, we add these things into conditions on the survey. Any other concerns or?
Nope.
Like that?
Just if there's any questions, we prepared the plot plan and grading, so I can speak on that if you need to.
Okay. Mr. Millspot could not be here tonight, but he did have a couple comments on here. He just wanted to make sure that the application was reviewed by the highway department, and that has occurred, and also that the proposed Y just works with the fire department apparatus turnarounds. Again, those are also things that could be worked around too.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion items?
No, we've discussed this several times, so I don't think reiteration is going to make any difference.
Okay. So if there's no further discussion, Ms. Bergami, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Laflamme?
Aye.
Ms. Strain?
Aye.
Mr. Khan?
Aye.
Ms. Gomes?
Aye.
Mr. Drescher? Ms. Gold?
Aye.
Chairman Darpino?
Aye. Resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, under new business is Resolution 2026-09, a resolution to call for a public hearing for a planned unit development at 2757 Aqueduct Road. Project leads are Ms. Strang and Mr. Laflamme. Now therefore, be it hereby resolved that this planning board does hereby call for a public hearing to be held on Monday, February 23rd, 2026 at 7:00 p.m. in the Niskayuna Town Hall, 1 Niskayuna Circle, to consider the application of Niskayuna Harbor LLC, 2777 Rosendale Road, Niskayuna, New York, zip code 12309, for sketch plan approval of a planned unit development of 2757 Aqueduct Road, as shown on a one-page drawing entitled Sketch Plan Niskayuna Harbor, Aqueduct Road by Steenberg Consulting Engineering, PLLC, dated October 8th, 2025, with a most recent revision 3 of January 14th, 2026. May I get a motion?
I motion to move forward.
A move by Mr. Laflamme,
Second?
second by Ms. Strang. Do we have a representative from the applicant here?
Good evening, Brett Steenberg, Steenberg Consulting Engineering.
Okay. How are you?
Good, how are you this evening?
Good, good. Pretty straightforward. I think we had a healthy conversation at the last meeting just a week ago and reviewed everything. Thank you, Laura, for pulling up the site plan and ready to call for a public hearing.
We appreciate
Um,
that.
Just a couple things. I think there was a CAC meeting since then. Is that correct?
On the 4th.
And a couple of the takeaways from there is they just wanted to note that the retention ponds are located in what are called the non-jurisdictional wetland areas. They brought up a couple items that said that those sometimes are subject to overflows. They could be concentrated pesticides into the wetlands and can also affect the water table. Again, this is just preliminary. As you work through the engineering on this, we may find that there may be modifications or other things that come about from the next steps as you proceed through the PUD.
Absolutely, and understand that the ponds will be designed in accordance with the Stormwater Design Manual, which will have pretreatment to assist in removing any pesticides and herbicides and nitrates that typically you find in stormwater. That's one of the big pluses with the new design manuals is there's a lot of pretreatment and quality control. So we don't anticipate any major issues with that.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion items?
That was it. That was just the CAC's result.
So
Right.
pretty straightforward.
Well, we did have a traffic, we received the traffic study.
Yes.
I guess some of the highlights there were as a result of the study, there would be approximately 60 to 80 cars during the peak hour. That would translate to a delay of about 8 to 15 seconds, depending on what egress you're taking. And it seemed pretty straightforward, line of sight, all the things that we were looking, to get back, it was included and not, it's definitely going to be having an impact on the road, right? But the road is capable of handling that impact. So
Based on my review of the study, I would concur with that.
And I was going to note the traffic study in that I, for one, am still digesting it, so I may have comments and
Understood.
questions.
so
Take your time. We'll be here through the whole process. So anything you have, if we need to bring in the traffic engineers to discuss it further, we can.
Well, one of my biggest concerns is the impact on the roundabout just before the bridge, because currently my experience has been that there are problems already in additional traffic flow from Aqueduct is apt to make that worse.
Okay.
And please know what I'm saying from Aqueduct Road, not from the people who live there, because it is a major way into Saratoga County for a lot of the city of Schenectady
Yes, it is.
and other people who come through there.
Yeah, we can, and as we go through the design and the design approvals, following the tentative zoning, we can certainly, if this board would prefer, have the traffic engineers who prepared the study and who studied the road, and I believe they did some work next door and know that roundabout pretty well, speak directly to the board.
And I do want the statistics from the police department on accidents there.
on the circle.
And maybe that little section of Aqueduct as well. Because I do think it's relevant. I like the layout, though.
Okay,
I'm
I
just-
appreciate that.
Really concerned about traffic impacts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If there's no further discussion, Ms. Bergami, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Laflamme?
Aye.
Ms. Strain?
Aye.
Mr. Khan?
Aye.
Ms. Gomes? Ms. Gomes?
Maureen Calderon is on mute. Aye.
Mr. Drescher?
Aye.
Ms. Gold?
Aye.
Chairman Darpino?
Aye. Resolution passes.
Thank you very much.
See you in 2 weeks. Okay, and last up on new business is Resolution 2026-10, a resolution to make a secret determination and call for a public hearing for a two-lot subdivision at 2727 Balltown Road. Project lead is Ms. Gold. Now therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Planning Board and Zoning Commission hereby determines that this project will not have a significant effect on the environment and hereby directs the town planner to file a negative secret declaration as noted above with the additional following comments from the CAC findings. Number one, the developer shall explore solar and EV-ready options for new homes as well as explore low mow and pesticide-free options for lawn maintenance as properties are directly adjacent to wetlands. Dark sky-friendly lighting is encouraged due to the proximity to fields. Number two, the developer shall use native species whenever possible in their planting plans. And be it hereby further resolved that this planning board does hereby call for a public hearing to be held on Monday, February 23rd, 2026 at 7:00 PM in Niskayuna Town Hall, 1 Niskayuna Circle, to consider the applicants for Sudev Singh for approval of plat plan and 2-lot minor subdivision as shown on the aforementioned drawings.
I so move.
Okay, moved by Ms. Gold,
Second.
second by Ms. Strang. And do we have a representative from the applicant here?
Hello, good evening, Luigi Palesci with ABD Engineers and Surveyors.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm no see.
So to recap, the plan that we actually had previously did show the footprint of the house.
That's
It was,
correct.
it's on there. It's a rectangle. There aren't any differentiations between that. So,
That's correct. I verified that with
Okay.
the applicant.
okay. And then we did talk about the drainage at the last meeting. So those details are shown there on those drawings as well.
Correct.
I believe it addressed all of the items that the board and the CAC had as part of their.
And the town engineer.
Okay, good. Any other comments or anything? Ms. Gold?
Only that I think it's a reasonable subdivision. It's an irregularly shaped lot now. When it's subdivided, it will still be somewhat irregular, but better than now. And will allow for one more residence.
Okay. All right, and if there's no further discussion, Ms. Bergami, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Laflamme?
Aye.
Ms. Strain?
Aye.
Mr. Khan?
Aye.
Ms. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Drescher? Mr. Drescher, sorry. Ms. Gold?
Aye.
And Chairman Darpino.
Aye, resolution passes.
Great,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks. Okay, that finishes up new business, so we'll move on to discussion items. First up is 1245 Ruffner Road, 1851 Union Street. This is an application for a lot line adjustment. Project leads are myself and Mr. Khan.
Good evening again. Brett Steenberg, Steenberg Consulting Engineering, and I'm here on behalf of Mr. Rutherford and his proposal to perform a lot line adjustment between two parcels he owns, one being the golf course and the other being, it is 1245 Ruffner Road, to create a 12-plus acre lot for the purpose of constructing a new home. We're here this evening requesting that this be put on the next agenda for a resolution for the project. Seeing that it is a lot line adjustment that we're here for this evening. We had a lot of discussion regarding, the home and such and what they're doing, but really we're here this evening simply for the lot line adjustment. I know there's been a lot of discussion through the process about character of the neighborhood and such, and creating a lot of such a large size within the neighborhood, or almost what would be called an estate or kind of keyhole lot, even though it's not a keyhole lot because it does have adequate frontage. And there is one, as we discussed at the last meeting, across Ruffner Road, which is a 5-acre lot with a keyhole out onto Ruffner Road. It was created as part of the original subdivision for this neighborhood. That being said, having a lot of this area, we do have the ability to adequately screen the home, to bring the driveway in a manner where the neighbors do not see the home back there. They will see an entrance road, a gate, landscaping in the front along Ruffner Road, and that's all they're going to see. The home will be back along the golf course at the rear of the lot. It also gives us a lot of flexibility, which we utilized to incorporate a stormwater management design. I don't know how much, I think probably a lot of you are aware of the Plum Street Drainage Project, which is going on downstream of this. This is actually the immediate start of the stormwater, which flows into that Plum Street Drainage design. And when we first looked at this lot, and looked at the design, I did explain to the applicant that we are going to need to make sure that whatever we do in the amount of impervious area that we treat it and we attenuate it on site, which we've designed a nice bioretention basin adjacent to the home to treat that stormwater and with swales along that. Having a lot of this size and magnitude gives us the ability to do that rather than trying to cram rain gardens in and things under driveways. And, you know, we've seen it all over the years as we've moved through the developing what's left over of remaining lots in Niskayuna. But we are here, for simply a lot line adjustment. We believe we meet all of the intent of the code. Like I said, I know there was some discussion about character of the neighborhood. We believe this is still going to fit within the character of the neighborhood because you still have that lot width out front. And, it is actually similar in a scenario to there's a section of the golf course which actually comes out to Ruffner Road, which opens up into the large lot known as, that becomes the golf course just down the street from this. And there is no provisions in, town of Niskayuna zoning code for maximum lot size. There's provisions for minimum lot size, or provision for lot width, but there is no provision for saying you can't exceed a certain acreage with a building lot. So that's what we're here for this evening.
Okay, thank you. So I'll begin the discussion as one of the leads. So in your review with the applicant, we had discussed some items about possibly potentially keeping the existing house, looking at a shared driveway, expanding the width of it, the pros and cons of having a shared driveway between two, potentially three. It seems like at this point, this is the direction that the applicant wants to go with, okay?
I did look at it. I mean, that would put a 26-foot road 22 feet off of the house that is not controlled by Mr. Rutherford, and then that being said, we're creating a scenario where the applicant needs to obtain an area variance for this lot, which in my personal opinion, and I stated this at the last meeting, I believe sets more of a precedent to altering the character of the neighborhood or doing something that is not typical to what would be required in the code, more so than just doing what we're proposing at this point.
Okay. I had a question. Can you guys hear me okay in the room?
Yep.
So I think your summary answer to that was the applicant's not interested in going a shared driveway route, correct?
I'm sorry, I missed part of that there.
Your summary answer to what Mr. DiArpino raised is that the applicant is not interested in going the shared driveway route.
That is correct. And we feel that it would have more of an impact on the resident who currently won't speak to the applicant because of past issues that they would like to have gotten their opinion on it. But we believe it would have a significant impact on them, which we do not want to create.
Right. And just my next comment is just to put this back on the record in this meeting also. So it's a question to Laura. If this lot line were granted as is, will the planning board ever see the build-out plan of the site as shown again?
No, single-family homes are exempted from site plan. So the building permits would be processed through the building department. The planning department can do its best to honor, anything that was discussed here. But a lot line adjustment is just a lot line adjustment, and then the single family home permits would come through the building department.
All right. And so Mr. Steenberg, Brett, in light of those facts and in light of the fact that while we're still discussing a lot line adjustment, I think we can talk about character of the neighborhood, right, as we're allowed to by code. A question that I have is concerning the clearing that you plan on doing in the lot. if this were to be granted the way you asked for it?
Yes. It would be, we did discuss with the applicant about moving the driveway a little bit further away from that property line, which we don't have an issue doing. And adjusting that and working with the planning department to something we feel would provide an adequate tree buffer behind those existing homes. But obviously there will be, you know, some clearing of the lot to achieve what they're looking to achieve. As you can see, shown there. And that a great part of that is creating the stormwater swales that along the driveway too, as you move into that, and you know, allowing for, you know, adequate grading along that sides of that driveway.
Okay, and so the specific part that I'm referring to, which is what you brought up, is so it was not in our packet. And again, recognize that you've given us extra information on what's necessary for a lot line adjustment application, but your discussions with the planning department does move that driveway further back so that there will be no clearing
Correct.
or proper buffering.
I looked at it. I think we can adequately achieve a 50-foot separation along the rear of those properties to the driveway. Right now it's about 30 feet. We could move that driveway back another 20 feet without getting into a situation where we're starting to cause drainage problems.
Okay, and that'll preserve trees that are already there?
That
or
is
will you have
correct.
to
That'll
plant-
preserve the existing wooded buffer along the rear of those lots.
Okay. And there wouldn't be a necessity for planting any additional?
There wouldn't be an issue for the necessity for planting. However, I do anticipate Mr. Rutherford to be, based on the stuff that he's done in the past, I think he'll make it look very nice. And if he does feel that there's a need to put treed buffer along there, or some additional augmentation to the existing buffer, I don't think he would have any objection to doing that.
Okay. All right. There's one more point I'd like to bring up, but maybe I'll give a chance to other members of the board and or Chairman D'Arpino, and then I'll come back once others have spoken.
I'm having difficulty hearing you, Mr. Khan.
Oh, I said there's one more point that I would like to bring up, but I'll give a chance to other members of the board to speak up on any items they'd like to on this, or
Okay.
yourself, Mr. D'Arpino. Did that come over better?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, it's probably my sore throat that's doing it. All right.
So, I mean, I think, you know, my position on this, I have no problem with the house. I think it's great that there's an estate home being built. It's just the point of how you get to it. And unfortunately, you know, the only way to get to this parcel outside of going through the golf course is to come through another property.
Correct.
And there isn't a paper street, there isn't anything there. So as unfortunate as that is, we do talk about the character of the neighborhood. Anytime a streetscape loses a building that is, you know, this type of development that is planned and spaced out, some things happen. It could be a fire, it could be demolition, it could just be something that, you know, is uncared for. But when neighborhoods have these, you know, transformations that go through, you're trying to see what the evolution is. And here, I think the only way to get to that lot is the fortunate that he had possession of that house and can get to it. So, you know, just to also bring up another piece of information that the planning department was provided this week. The town attorney wrote a very nice letter basically explaining what the lot line adjustment was, what the purveyance is that we have for what we review for the code. So it's everything that you said in your statement. It's, you know, you could do everything that's on this application right here. And, you know, we strive pretty heavily as a board, you've been to this a number of times, to try to preserve character of the neighborhoods. And every now and then we have applications that are like this, where something has to get sacrificed in order to build that. And that's like with any development. If you have to get a street in, or you have to get a right of way for utilities, those are all things that get integrated into the plan. So as disappointing as some of us may feel that a house is coming down, it seems to be that this application supports everything that's in it.
And I'd like to add to that, unless state law has changed drastically, and I think I would have noticed if it had, a property owner has a right to reasonable use of the land.
Mhm.
This is zoned for residential, as is the neighborhood on Ruffner Road. I can't say that it's different enough to warrant saying no to the application. The intent is to put up a single-family home in a neighborhood of single-family homes. That it's going to have a different kind of entrance. Well, I've got it in my neighborhood. After I built my house, there was a paper street down on the other side. And somebody, I believe on spec, built a home there. And though it was a paper street, the town had no interest in acquiring it. So it's now a private driveway. But you don't see that house from the road.
Right.
You just don't. It's hidden behind a house that was already there. And it's at a right angle facing the driveway that was the paper street. And that's the kind of change that just happens over time. I know people are often resistant to change, but it happens. And I have no basis to say this is extreme and inappropriate. So I will be in support of this.
Appreciate that.
I would, I think both comments were spot on, and the chairman's point, the application stands. The applicant has done a lot himself to preserve the neighborhood
Yeah.
way beyond this project. And he brought it up when he was, here last week. And it's a good reminder, the golf course has been so instrumental to the wildlife, the serenity, the sounds of the neighborhood. And he's helped us keep that. So it's irrelevant to this application for a lot line, adjustment. So I just want to reflect the point that we will all suffer the loss of the house coming down, especially if you live in that area. But the applicant does have a bigger view of hopefully continuing to keep the neighborhood through maintaining and successfully maintaining the use of the golf course, as a golf course.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion before? I believe Mr. Khan had one more comment. Go ahead, Mr. Khan.
All right. And once again, Ms. Timberg, Brett, thank you for making that accommodation with the road and preserving some, preserving some buffer with the neighbors that are immediately behind it. In light of the feedback that we've heard both this time and prior applications for other things to happen in this area from the golf course, there clearly is a sensitivity of the neighbors, right? I did not address it last time in the last meeting, but I'm addressing it today. One of the sensitivities I think can be summarized as, the neighborhood has a concern with seeing a further development or a subdivision of the current lot line adjusted lot as proposed. Would Mr. Rutherford be open to, at this point in time, and recognizing that this is a discussion item, right? Again, in terms of character of the neighborhood, would he be open to actually allowing a deed restriction on further subdivision of this new lot?
I did pose him with that actually before we even came to the last meeting, and I am going to say that he is not open to that, not because he plans on doing anything to this property in the future or near future himself, but anything like that does affect your ability to sell and or your property value, and he felt that he did not want to entertain that.
All right, it's a clear answer to my question. I mean, obviously I was clear about what the background motivation was. I mean, any further subdivision of this land would come back before the planning board, but it comes through a different process with different kind of legal requirements, obviously.
Understood.
Yeah, I mean, it's our hope, and I know it's Mr. Rutherford's hope and everyone else's hope that the golf course and all of its adjacent property stays as intact, right, as possible. I know we're gonna see something about another development on the Balltown Road side. But I was just wondering if as a, you know, as a further measure in terms of the sensitivity to the neighborhood, if that could have been an option. You answered it is not, so I think I'm, you know, I won't pursue the point here at this moment.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think we're at the point here where we're ready to call for resolution to take action on the lot line adjustment. I believe we could have that ready for the February 23rd meeting.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Do you need to make a
Agreed.
vote to do that? Okay.
I'm sorry, did somebody say something online or? No?
I thought Jengis did.
I did. Do you need to vote on a resolution to have a resolution, or is it just
No, we just call for them.
you just call for
Yeah.
them? I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we can call for them.
Okay,
for
sounds good.
Some of the straight, like the tenant changes, things like that, we can call for
Okay,
call for a resolution, which
All right.
we're going to do for the February 23rd meeting.
sounds good. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this evening. Appreciate all of your comments as always, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Laura, excuse me, is there any way you can turn up the volume on your end? I think we're all really struggling to hear anyone that's coming through.
There's a keyboard in there that has volume, or perhaps Z can turn the volume up. If you
Oh, there
can
you go.
hear this.
Well, we're hearing
Yeah.
you much better now.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Z. That was Z.
It's our man behind the scenes back there. Okay.
All right, hopefully that's better. Is it better?
Yes, now, yeah, we can hear you much
Yes.
better. All right,
Awesome. Okay, so then I can actually talk quieter.
perfect. Okay, great. Okay, next up on discussion items is 3900 State Street. This is Matthews Kia site plan application to remove one single-family dwelling, combine 25 and 17 South Fagan Ave properties, and expand the existing automotive sales dealership. Project lead is Mr. Laflamme, and Mr. Salvini's here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's been a long road.
Thank you for having me back. I appreciate this back to back and keeping things moving.
Absolutely. So where are we at? We're at the point of
So we are, we have the
CAC.
TDE update. So we have that information here that's ongoing. And I think from the information that we've had since the last meeting, if it's been a 1 week turnaround, things are still progressing favorably. I think there's just a little bit of additional information that came in from the TDE's letter.
And there was a CAC meeting. I saw the
There
notes on
was.
that. So I didn't know if
Correct.
there was any questions I could help.
So I'll have Ms. Robertson just give a quick recap on the CAC because she's in tune with those meetings.
Yeah, so and I had actually forgotten this until we were at the CAC meeting, but the CAC did appreciate the saving of the one house. But in the end, they actually did recommend a positive deck or environmental impact statement be prepared for this project as a whole to the town board. The town board did not choose to move forward with the CAC's recommendation, and they did a neg deck, and they granted the special use permit. But the CAC at the time was also hopeful that there would be some changes in the project, and so they withheld their recommendation on the site plan. It went back to them last Wednesday, and they did approve of the of bringing the parking pavement away from the Norway spruce. They thought that was a big plus. But what we discussed is if the project is different enough for them to actually change their recommendation from the town board to the planning board, because they have to make sure that they're being consistent. So they're reviewing the site plan to see if they feel like it rises to the level where they'd be able to change their recommendation. But it's probably not significantly changed enough for them to really be able to change their recommendation. So I am looking into a crystal ball here and could be completely wrong, but it is likely that they will forward a recommendation for a positive declaration at the next meeting for the same reasons that they did to the town board. The planning board can certainly review those things, but the planning board was in possession of the CAC's concerns, I think, prior to them making their recommendation to the town board as well. So, for them to be consistent, I think they probably have to stick to that, but, so you guys know, that's a recommendation to you. You can look at it, try and do any mitigation that you can do on it. But it's not binding to you, so you can decide what to do with that when it comes. And then the town designated engineer, I think we're getting on board. They'll review the stormwater and, hopefully be more farther along. But really your last step is really just making that final look at seeker for site plan and then a site plan application and site plan approval.
Okay, thank you for the summary, Laura. So as Ms. Robertson said, the same recommendation basically we've been put forth from the CAC. Again, it's a recommendation, it's non-binding to this board. We've gone through it. Personally, I think I would call them the upgrades or the evolvement of this plan is better. I like the subsurface detention system. I think it can be really, really well executed on more of an urban site like this, as opposed to giving up areas to detention ponds that are, really just useless space for other than, harboring water and things like that. So to me, I think these upgrades to the site plan and the fact that more of the stuff is pulled down towards State Street and there's more area for snow storage and the plantings you have the opportunity to have more robust plantings on Fagan are all positive things. We understand that the house is coming down. That's been well vetted out through this board. And, that's the result of what the positive, that comes from the CAC.
And at the end of the day, one of the main reasons why we see a benefit to this is to improve. And I know that this is not necessarily our purview, but as a indirect result, the safety of the pedestrians, the streetway, the streetscape the drivers on State Street, on that part of State Street, will have an improved safety outcome. And that at the expense of a house, right, and some other things that Chairman mentioned, the complete package. Our goal is to keep the zone explanation and what the code says. In a CH neighborhood, you've got to find a balance between the two, and you got to understand there will be changes within each. So how do you find the balance where there's still residential adjacency that doesn't feel commercial, but commercial success, where we need to improve safety? I do think this is the best outcome we could probably come up with. Tearing down two houses is never a positive thing in any zone. But this one does require that we find a balance. And I do think the one house that we're speaking of is so adjacent to the commercial. It isn't necessarily, doesn't feel like as residential as the one that you're keeping. You are keeping the other one. You're adding that or keeping that, perhaps adding that to the market because it's not been on the market. So all in all, I just think that, I echo what the chairman's saying. And I also understand the CAC's, recommendation, but I'm standing that we've gone through everything, made the edits, got the feedback from the community, realigned streets, so that the neighbors weren't as directly affected.
For clarity, we had the plan,
Mhm.
went through, you guys went to the town, went through the CAC, they recommended pause deck. Town said neg deck,
Mhm.
and then issued the special use permit. Subsequent to that, we feel like we've improved the plan even more. So do you feel that I just don't want to lose the ground that we've gained historically. How does their current position that they still want this to be a positive declaration affect me?
Affect us?
Affect me?
Oh,
Yeah. I mean,
I think it would affect you based on how it affects us and what our collective vote will be, which we don't know just yet.
Yeah. I think this could be an and situation, right? I think it is important for the CAC to be consistent in what they view consistency is for pause deck or neg deck recommendations that they give. So the CSC can do their process. I think the question really is I think our plan was by the next meeting, right, which is the 23rd. Is that the right date for it?
Correct.
That we would have some kind of a resolution for the site plan shown in front of us. So it's not our place to neither supersede nor, do any clairvoyance to the future of what the CAC might do. But I think they need to go through the process they're going through. And unless it's something that's completely, outside the scope of what we would expect, the fact that it's a positive declaration, it's always been a positive declaration, right?
From their
So-
standpoint, correct?
Right.
Yes.
So I'd recommend that we would proceed with the plan we had of getting, a resolution on this. And if, like I said, we still need to see the TDEs. Sorry, guys, I gotta sneeze. That we still see the TDEs, notes on the drainage, right, on the water detention. But other than that, I think I'm okay for having that resolution for the next meeting.
Thank you, James.
And I concur with Mr. Khan. I think we've taken a look at this. The CAC has been reviewing this all the way through. Even if it is a positive declaration, we've seen that position from them before. I think we had discussed at the last meeting, outside of something significant from the TDE coming back, that would be the only thing that may drive tabling the the resolution that we'd be voting on next.
And the only quick comment I want to make is I am definitely in favor of preparing a resolution for you guys to take action. But I don't know that we would be able to have a first round letter from the TDE by the time for the next meeting. And also, if we are just making sure that the CAC does its final take there, I would recommend, and I'm sorry for this, Vinny, that we plan for a resolution at the first meeting in March, because I think by then everything will be completely resolved for the planning board. I just don't know that the 2 weeks will be able to get a TDE preliminary letter done and have the CAC stuff done. Like jump in if you think I'm, but I just don't. We don't actually have a preliminary letter from them yet. We have the estimate.
Yeah, and I received that today. I reviewed it, and Clark and I are working on how to get the escrow funded because, and I'll go on record that we're going to fund the escrow. If that helps you to engage the TDE sooner than later, I'll bring in the check tomorrow. I guess my question is, Laura, last meeting, we were confident that the TDE was going to spin this around really quick, and that the 23rd was a realistic possibility. So doesn't sound like that's the case anymore?
Well, Clark has been communicating with them, but we got them to turn around a proposal quickly. But to my knowledge, they haven't actually taken these plans and started reviewing them. And we have a quick turnaround again between these next. And then the other thing is, if we're waiting for the final CAC recommendation, their meeting isn't until March. So that's the issue there.
I agree with Laura that the TDE review will be turned around as quickly as possible. As soon as we get the payment, they can start. There's typically an iteration or two of comment letters and then adjustments from the applications engineer. So it's not, it's possible, but a lot of things have to go exactly perfectly. So it could spill over into that first meeting in March. There's just no guarantee.
No, I understand there's no guarantee. I understood Laura to say, let's just plan for March and not shoot for the 23rd. I didn't know if that's what the sentiment of the board was, that we're not going to aim for the 23rd at this point.
Couldn't we put it on for tentative in case everything does come back on time?
That's what I was hoping for, Ms. Gold. Thank you.
So the only, I guess I can just check with Rob. And maybe I could ask the CAC to come back, via email with their final recommendation. But you won't have, typically, like we deferred 2727 Belltown Road because we didn't have the CAC recommendation. You won't have a final recommendation from them until their next meeting. if you prepare a resolution for the end of February, I guess you're moving forward without their final recommendation, which you do not normally do.
Yeah, I think once or twice we might have done a contingent on, but I agree. And I do have another concern. The underground stormwater system, I can see the positives, but I also know the trend has been going away from the underground, like piping, water and all of that stuff, because they're great, and then all of a sudden they're not working. And I don't know if there's like an inspection schedule that should go along with that element, or some kind of maintenance check or something like that. But I would like the TDE to comment on that aspect.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to doing it. I just want something in place to make sure we don't have a major failure.
Yeah, that's a good comment, and that's the type of detail that we typically ask the TDE to get into. So some type of maintenance schedule or something like that could very well easily be included.
And proactively, our engineers have told us that's going to be required regardless of what the TDE says. We're not looking for, if that underground system fails, it affects our ability to use that part of the lot as well. That doesn't help us. So,
I just like reassurance on things like that.
yep.
No, I mean, and so again, look, the ideal state here is, and I don't think it's very far from what we discussed in the last meeting, right? Because I think both dates were mentioned. One would be if we have a tentative resolution for the 23rd, and I know the TD's speed is outside of our control, but let's at least get them the escrow so they can get started. The main thing I know I'm interested in is their assessment of the underground water storage. And maybe we make that, I don't know if the rest of the board members, if it's the same thing, but we can make that very clear to them that that's our primary interest to kind of help that process along. And Laura, and Clark, I've heard what you said relative to the CAC, but again, we're still operating under a POSDEC being the last issuance from the CAC, right? And so while the nature of it and the details of it may differ, it's still a positive declaration that we're under from them. And then if none of this stuff comes through and we're in a position where we feel equally as uncertain on the 23rd, then tabling that resolution and moving it to March is an outcome anyway. But I still think it's worth a shot to try to have a resolution we're all comfortable with on the 23rd.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't mind reaching out to the CAC either and telling them the timeline got crunched and I'm going to forward their original recommendation unless I hear otherwise from them too. I could also do that.
Yeah, and the real thing we're looking for there is in their reasoning, right, with the CAC is there something, significantly different that we or they haven't considered before, given that we've seen the evolution of the site plan to the current version, which we all kind of, for statements made earlier by Chairman D'Arpino and Mr. Laflamme, right, is got some degrees of betterness to it than what was there before.
Yeah, and I agree with Mr. Khan. I don't think that the information that we potentially will receive will change. I think where we are with this. I can also speak just with my background on these detention systems. They're very good. If there was a drainage system that was a large hole with a grate in it or something that we don't normally see or that's completely different, I would maybe be more concerned. Or if like a half of the lot had a huge pond on it for some reason, I'm not concerned. That's my background. We're installing a couple right now. They're great. They have to be maintained like anything else.
Yeah.
Just like your building, just like your mechanical systems, you'll know when they're not performing. And even on a day like today and through the night, you'll have an ice skating rink. So it's when they back up, it's not good. So, there's pump systems you can have in there. You can clear them out. There's a whole bunch of different ways. You may have them on other lots that you own. So
Yeah, we're in the process of doing them in multiple lots right now. They're very beneficial to our operations.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to reinforce what Ms. Diarpino said, right? A key part of having the TD assess this this was a most recent change in the site plan that requires us, that I feel at least, we need to do our due diligence to basically get the TD to weigh in on, right? Regardless of what our outlook of it is and understanding of it is, right? That's the key thing.
Mhm.
And so there's a bit of process to this too, in addition to, I'm also confident about, from an engineering perspective about this kind of detention. That's why I'd have an expectation that if the TDE knows we want their assessment on this specific item, right? Maybe they can get it turned around, and that's the hope. And look, folks, anyone looking at this might think, why are we making a big deal one meeting to another meeting 2 weeks away? I think it's important that, we do bring these projects to a close and not just keep adding things on the tail end, once we feel we're at a certain point where a decision can be made.
I do just want to say one thing about the turnaround, though. This is a challenge we run into, especially when we have meetings every 2 weeks. I mean, we request that applicants get their materials to us 2 Wednesdays before a meeting. So that would mean that the TDE's report is done by Wednesday. So it just gets really tricky when we have a 2-week turnaround time, because it really gives the applicant very little time to turn materials around and be on the next planning board meeting. So we can do everything we can to turn it around, but we run a real risk of over-promising and under-delivering in a situation like this, especially when you have a lot of projects going on in parallel. And if we start accepting things past that Wednesday deadline, it just can become an avalanche of other things, with things being missed, the package not getting put together properly. So it's easy to kind of drift into, well, gee, it seems like we should be able to turn it around that quickly.
Yep.
But, we have some deadlines for a reason, and it's very easy to just kind of let them drift away. So,
Clark, thanks for that clarification. I'm glad you said it right. I predicated everything I said that this would have been an ideal situation, what I described in the last set of words that I used, right? So at the end of the day, we're always going to do what the planning department thinks is the best thing to do, right?
sure. And I just wanted to say that we will do everything we can to be ready for the 23rd, but
I appreciate it.
if we can't, that will be why. So,
And my question only comes from the excitement at the last meeting where we felt like that was going to be a realistic target, and it feels like that's changed. But also, I acknowledge the TDE isn't only working on Matthews Auto, right? As much as I would love for them to drop everything and take us on, to the detriment of every other applicant, that's not fair. So we received the quote today. I was prepared to fund escrow today. We're still working on the mechanics of that, what that looks like. But I want to make sure that I'm not holding things up on our end and keeping this moving.
sure, we appreciate that, and we stay in close touch with the TDEs and keep them updated, so that they don't tell us tomorrow, oh, we have a 2-week backlog before we can get to that. We stay in touch with them.
So then, going back to what you said, if there's a 2-week deadline, which we're familiar with, I didn't know it was, I thought it was for our submissions. I thought maybe there was a different deal with the TDE where they could submit. But if there's a 2-week deadline, it's unrealistic to think that I'm going to escrow tomorrow, and then Wednesday, they're going to call me with changes. We're going to negotiate them all the way through by Wednesday to have stuff in by the end of the day Wednesday.
I'm still okay with us pushing as hard as we can, as Ms. Gold said, for a tentative resolution on the 23rd, and doing everything we can to meet that. But if we don't, it would probably spill over to that next meeting.
Which is not very far away from where we left.
No, Jankus, I know that.
in
It's
the
just,
last meeting.
like you said, this has gone on for over 2 years now, and I'm
Right.
really
Yep.
looking forward to the finish
Yep.
line. I just don't want that finish strap to keep moving. But if it's got one more move and that's it, I'm not going to make a big deal about it. Also, it's 20 below out. It's not like my contractors are going to start
Right.
the next day, because, but if they could, they would.
Vinny, another thing we talked about, and I know you said you're ready, is you can submit your building permits for us to review while we're coming to an end on this, like whatever I mean, your building renovations, all that stuff can start coming in.
Yeah,
No-
I've got the
no
link to
reason
the
to wait on
100%. And as soon as I sign off on those, it'll trigger the building permit.
Okay.
There is one other thing that I want to bring up because, again, it continues to take time, and that's okay. It's a process. But I did make a comment previously, and I'd like to see if the board would allow me to take it back. My initial plan was to not market the house that we're keeping until the project was done, so an owner could see what they were buying. But I'm coming into the spring market, and there's people interested in the house right now. I just don't want the board to say you said one thing and you're doing another. My plan is to now present that site plan to anyone and have them sign off on it who would to purchase the house, with full disclosure. And I just want the permission of the board that would not be looked upon as a say one thing, do another, because we haven't done that yet.
Just appreciate you sharing that change. It's good that we know that, and there'll be no surprises, and it's completely within your right.
Right. We never conditioned anything on that, right? So I don't think we have any.
No, but I did make that
You
comment,
mentioned it.
Cengiz.
No, no,
I don't want to.
appreciate your.
But I think it's perfectly reasonable to go ahead, and if you can sell it as a home sooner rather than later, I'm all for it.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not.
Yep.
It's not getting in better repair over time.
Mhm.
Someone's going to have to invest some money, and I want to maximize on behalf of Matthews Auto.
Buyers out there who want the DIY,
Yep.
they have the skills and they're willing to do it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, from a building standpoint, we'd much rather see someone in that house than it remain vacant.
Yeah,
Yep.
agreed. Because once someone's in there, then there's no chance that I'm coming back for another ask.
Understood.
It's okay.
All right. So I think
Yes.
So to recap, I think we're going to make an all-out effort here to try to wrap this thing up. We'll have a tentative resolution for the 23rd. Planning Department will keep in contact with you. If for somehow the TDE can expedite review and we can work it in, great. If not, see what those comments come back. If there's a dialogue that happens, then we'll aim for the beginning of March.
Perfect.
All right.
And I'll talk to Clark tomorrow on how to get the escrow funded.
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, next up on discussion items is 398 Anthony Street. This is KJM Landscaping. This is an application for a site plan review of a tenant change. This is a new project. Do we have a representative from the applicant here?
We do.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Denise Riccardi-Bagramian. I'm here to represent KJM Landscaping, and we're looking to do just a change of tenancy at 398 Anthony Street. They're a landscaping group, and it's going to be very similar to what is already there. J-Dog is there. You guys are very familiar with we had a lot line adjustment recently come through. So the site plan, you've seen that quite a bit. So same kind of, operation. They've got about 20 employees. They come in, they've got some trucks and equipment. They come in about 7 o'clock, load up, head out, and they're pretty much gone for the day, just working on commercial projects. And then they come back and then they just looking for a little office and a spot to park their trucks and their equipment. So we're here tonight to see if we can move forward the change in tenancy.
Couple questions on the dynamics and use of the site. So there'd be some equipment that would be there. We're talking about machines, towing.
Yeah, there's going to be
Trailers.
you have some trailers, there's going to be lawn mowers, some trucks. They've got, I think, 7 to 8 trucks. I think that's what they had. Yeah. So they've got some trucks to it, but same kind of, like if you've been down to the site recently, right? There's a, there's a pole barn in the back. They park their equipment under there. There's a little bit of warehouse. It is warehouse. There's warehouse that they bring in some equipment and some office. So, very just kind of a quiet operation at the end of the street.
How about open storage of materials, mulch, stone, bark?
There will be light materials. They're not
Okay.
going to have an abundance of it, but they'll have, some mulch, and they're going to have some crusher run, but, nothing overzealous, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah, just something just to function, get the guys in, get the guys out.
No kind of, excuse me, chemicals, anything to that nature.
I know we're not intending to have any kind of oil tanks, no chemicals. There's not going to be any on-site repairs. They bring their trucks for oil changes elsewhere. So none of that. It's strictly going to the office, bringing the trucks in, and just having a safe, clean environment just to park their equipment.
No fertilizer or anything like that?
No, not looking for any fertilizer.
When you say trucks, like what kind of trucks?
So they're going to have, they'll have a trailer. They'll, there's going to be some dump trucks. There'll be trailers just bringing in equipment. You put a lawnmower, you put all the miscellaneous hand gear on there and all that. So, we're not looking for there's not 53-foot trucks, tractor trailers, not box trucks, just, something to carry the material, carry the equipment, and get in and out. It's very, very similar to what's there now.
How about seasonally, snow removal, wintertime, anything like that?
Oh, they do snow plowing. So yes, they'll have plow trucks. But most of the time too, because they do commercial, so most of the time the loaders and everything is actually on site for the places that they're working on.
Okay.
Yeah. So, they're just anticipating their normal equipment. They will have plow trucks there. The plows will be stored on site too as part of their regular equipment. But anything large like a loader is going to be already on site, wherever they're contracted for.
But you're saying that the on-site, you won't be removing the snow during the winter time for plowing purposes for that site.
Oh, for plowing purposes? No, they'll take care of their own plowing. Is that what you're asking?
Okay, yeah, I'm just wondering, is the snow gonna stay on the property like?
Oh, yes. No, we'll push it all the way to the back, most likely for clearance. There's plenty of room and just, goes to the dead end. And they also have additional room on that lot too, towards the back that hasn't been cleared. But I mean, if there's enough snow, then, they have the ability to remove it themselves too.
So are you saying the trucks would be parked in the pole barn or
Yeah,
will,
for the majority, yes. And then, they've got warehouse, there's garage doors. So, some of them that they, that they would, something more expensive or whatever they're looking to, keep out of the wind, keep out of the weather would be inside.
okay. And you won't have any storage of like trees and other plantings and things in the yard? You mentioned mulch and things like that. I drive by like a Kulaks all the time on Route
Oh.
146.
Yeah.
Are you going to have plantings stored on the
They-
lot?
They
or-
might have something for, if there's something going out that day, but it's more of transitional where they go in, get their equipment, and then they're going to the supplier, picking it up and off to the job site. They're perishable, right? So they got to be careful of
Okay, thank you.
storage.
So there's not going to be retail sales of
No,
plant material?
no, none of that. No, this is strictly, they do landscaping, they do snow plowing, and so they come in, get the stuff, get their equipment, and off and running they go. If they're not out, they're not making money.
Do they do hardscaping?
Yes, they do.
And they would probably have the source of the bricks or whatever deliver.
Well, usually
The
that gets
site.
delivered to the job site. So, right, so they'll source it, have it delivered, and then,
That's what I
they
was
take
getting
it.
at.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. They take it from there. So,
Okay. How about signage or exterior lighting? Any upgrades to any of the buildings that are there?
well, I think we're going to have some signage, it'll be the same. We'll use the same square footage as what J-Dog already has on there.
Okay.
And then, I guess we didn't even talk about if we're going to upgrade lighting. They will be looking to do improvements to the building just to make sure, upkeep is very important to them. So right now, there's no, we don't have any improvements listed out. But
Okay. Usually if there's any changes to the building, exterior, or anything like that, that would be not just the site plan, but we would have some sort of drawing or something that would show that. Again, We do look at signage. If it's code compliant, it can go through the planning department. For any reason it would trigger a review, we do have a purveyance where we can grant some waivers on signage.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I mean, as far as signage, I honestly, I got to look to see if J-Dog even had anything. So we would just match. So we're not looking for any variances with signage. Not,
Like they have dumpsters out by the road with their name on it. I think maybe they were using that doubly as a sign,
Oh.
perhaps.
well, this is not, it's not a retail site for them. So signage is not really going to be, something that's super important, to them. They have it on their trucks, so they're out and about. They're mainly commercial.
Just signage for Niskuna though, even if it's the same square footage as J-Dog, it still has to come through the planning department and you'll still need a building permit to erect a new sign, even if it's the exact same size.
Okay, duly noted. Yeah,
Yep.
right now we're just looking to do the change of tenancy, and they're looking to purchase the building, so we just wanted to, get them going.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right. So it's the first time we're seeing this project. Any other initial thoughts?
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. So, okay. I think we've seen this project a couple times.
Yeah.
Obviously, just not with the lot line adjustment, but years ago there was when J-Dog was actually taking over the site down there.
Oh, yeah. I bet.
So yeah, I guess it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's a nice spot for what they're looking to do. It fits it pretty well, in my opinion, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So usually with tenant changes, if they're relatively straightforward, we can call for tentative resolution at the next meeting.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. Is that for the 23rd then?
It'd be for the 23rd.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yep, I support that.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
All right.
We're all
Thank you
set?
for your time.
Wonderful. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, next up is 46 Commerce Park. This is 46 Commerce Park Road, a site plan application requiring a special use permit for the construction of a 6,000 square foot building for the Montessori Child Care Center. A sketch plan application for a 2-lot subdivision of 46 Commerce Park is included. This is a new project. And Mr. Paleshi, welcome back.
I don't know if I should apologize or.
No. We're working through our agenda. So we were alerted this project was coming, and we took had a quick very brief discussion about it previously. So basically, in the Commerce Park, they're taking it was a pre-developed parcel that's there, and the background history of this was that there was a previous develop on it that had some, I guess it was maybe not hazardous materials, but maybe subsoil conditions that were, what was the classification? Can't remember the technical term for it. We just wanted to make sure that the applicant was aware that the parcel was previously developed and it's part of a larger plan to have the drainage and the retention ponds and all that stuff as part of this application. So
Yeah.
I'll broker it with that, and then you go ahead and explain a little bit what the project is.
Yeah,
Is this-
so, I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
I know, when Galisi developed the first lot there, they had done a phase 1 environmental. I'm assuming there was a phase 1 done for the entire park.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure. That's something that we will have to look into a little further as part of this project.
It was a previous manufacturing site. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this the former flamethrower track?
Yeah, it's the tank track.
Okay. There it is.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Gold, for
I'm
encyclopedia
sure
of
that's where-
everything in this unit that's been.
Yeah, and Miss Gold, you may remember that this was known as lot number 7 of the Commerce
Okay.
Park. And there was site plan approvals, I believe, granted back in 2015 for a large, I think 41,400 square foot building with over 100 parking spaces, right? So what you see here in this 5.2 acre parcel was approved for a previous site plan that occupied, I think, 2.5 acres of impervious if I looked at the SWIP. And what we're proposing to do is not only go through the site plan with you, but also a 2-lot subdivision. So the 5.2 acres, certainly too large for a daycare facility, and meeting the code for this district. It's the OTLI district. 2 acres is the minimum lot size. So we certainly meet that minimum lot acreage for this facility. And obviously you got the remaining lot that would be, for future development. We had the opportunity to, again, see those previously approved plans. There is a SWIP that has been developed for this park and that particular lot. Right to the south of our property, there is an existing stormwater management system that I believe Chazen has developed. And part of this project, there are some modifications that are needed in that existing stormwater practice. So some additional grading to bring it back to life, or bring it back to what it was designed to be back in 2015. That will all get done as part of this project, likely, prior to a CO, making sure that existing basin gets modified to, to the design plan that's out there. So I had a chance to look at all of that. And, with that, I'll just kind of roll into, what we're proposing here as a daycare facility. So it's a 6,000 square foot footprint, maybe just a hair under if you look at the actual square footage, with 2 curb cuts off of Commerce Park Drive. The first curb cut is your primary drop-off lane. So the way this daycare operates, and you probably know that this daycare, the Montessori Child Learning Center, currently operates at 1355 Balltown Road, and they're looking to relocate to this. So what they currently do, or what they would like to do, is provide this drop-off lane so that the parents can come in, drop off their child, and off they go to work or wherever they have to go. So this main entrance here is primarily for drop-off. We do have a few parking spaces for, sometimes parents will, want to park and walk their child in, but for the most part, it's primarily for drop-off. Over on the north side of the building is where the employees would park, teachers. And if you look, we have 20 parking spaces in total. We feel that, this meets the needs of the everyday function of this daycare facility. One thing to note is, the daycare facilities is set up with different shifts. So you have shifts where 7:30 a.m. You have, activity starting with the parents dropping off, and they go as far as, I got the times here. Let me pull it up here. So you have a block from 7:30 to 8:30 where parents are dropping off, and then after 8:30, 12:30 is pickup, 3 p.m. and between 4:30, and then also another slot for 5 and 5:30. So it's broken up into several time slots so that not everybody's there at the same time in the morning, not everybody's there at the same time in the afternoon. So it helps with, traffic in and out. It helps with, the need for any parking. And the current facility that they're at right now actually has 2 daycare facilities operating in that same building. And there's, I think, 33 parking spaces there. So there's 33 spaces for 2 daycares at that facility. We have 20 just for, this Montessori Child Learning Center. So after looking at that and discussing with the applicant, we feel that, this meets the parking demands for the facility. However, we are proposing banked parking spaces. At the last meeting we had with Clark and Laura, we talked about maybe adding an additional 5 to 10 parking spaces to the, from the bank parking that you see. And that just gives some more flexibility. There's 65 children that would be, utilizing this facility throughout the entire day. So having that, meeting the code for parking requirements, we would need to add the 5 to 10 more parking spaces on a day-to-day, and then we would still bank the rest for this facility. So we talked about the drop off in the front. That's the main entrance along the front. We do have entrance and exits on the side of the building. Landscaping will be proposed, street trees and foundation shrubs. The back area of the building will have the playground areas all fenced in, where, you got the students that, are fenced in the back area away from all the, the road and the traffic. And that's one of the main reasons why they'd like to move from Balltown Road to here, is because the existing building is literally on Balltown Road with lots of
Just
traffic
about.
going back and forth, right? And if you look at the existing facility as well, there's a lot of steps, because it's an old building, to get in and out of that building. And, this will be a modernized building, all one level, so that, you don't have to worry about the kids or the parents, tripping and falling, because, you'll have one level rather than the steps that they're dealing with today. So with the landscaping, we also have lighting. So we proposed light poles. There will be some building mounted lights as well. And, we're fine tuning the details with the building mounted lights once we know what the building architecture is going to look like. But we wanted to get the parking lot poles on there so that we can keep the parking lot and the in and out safe. Over to the north side of the curb cut is where we were proposing the dumpster location. Again, after having a staff discussion with Laura and Clark, we had talked about adding additional landscaping, like around the dumpster. So, we went round and round with the team on where to locate this dumpster. And, if I put it far in the back, then it's harder for the garbage trucks to come in and out. It's my understanding too, though, that this facility doesn't require a big dumpster. They're going to be using the totes, but they still want a dumpster area to put the totes and store the totes in there. And we felt that this was a convenient location because you come out the front door and there's a ramp here to get you right to the dumpster location. And I know it's up front. But again, this is the main entrance. Parents will be coming in, and then this is more of an exit. But we'll certainly do additional landscaping to help soften the dumpster being up front here. Stormwater, as we discussed a little bit, I had a chance to review the SWIP. So we put a grading plan together, and we were able to, with the existing grades that are out there and proposing new grades, we were able to provide sheet flow from our rooftops, from our parking lot, so that all the impervious surfaces will be treated by grass, vegetated swales, and will enter this existing stormwater basin. So, the path takes a long route where, we'll have grass here, and that's encouraged by DEC to allow the stormwater runoff by sheet flow. And sheet flow is always good practice because, when you pipe it, right, it concentrates it. Whereas if you can sheet flow it, then, it sort of spreads out the runoff. And being that the runoff will be spread out in this case, will be across the grass, especially in the front. We will need 2 culverts underneath the driveways here to continue. There's a ditch line that was, I think, designed as part of the Commerce Park. So our, culverts will allow the water to continue into the existing stormwater basin. And then on the backside, you can see we have a lot of land where, we're sheeting the side parking lot into a vegetated swale that will run all the way to the back and around to the existing stormwater practice. And I think the previous site plan design was very similar where they had vegetated swales. So we wanted to keep, our design very similar to what was previously approved. But, this is, a fraction of what was previously approved. Understanding that, there is another lot next door that could be developed. But since there's no plans to develop that remaining piece, we're here first. We can design what we need to. That existing stormwater basin is obviously large enough. And then depending on the future development, they're going to have to, see what the as-built condition is at that time. And then, if they need to provide additional, or maybe depending on what they need to design here, if they're under the, the previously approved impervious, then, they may not need to do any further revisions to the existing stormwater practice. So that's the future, but, we're here to discuss this, and, we're certainly well under the parameters of the previous approval. What else? I guess utility wise, there's water and sewer that was extended up Commerce Park Drive. So we'll be making the connection right up the front here with water and sewer. So I think that's it.
Would this move allow them to increase enrollment?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Would this move allow them to increase enrollment?
I think it does factor in extra enrollment from where they currently are today. Yes.
How many staff people?
All right.
Like 10 to 15.
All right. Luigi, thanks for that overview. And, it looks straightforward. I think obviously there's going to be details as we work through this, but quick question for you, just a high level question. So this clearly is an industrial park area, correct? What
I mean, it's zoned office technology with a light industrial use.
Yeah.
So you got the automated facility that's right there at 2 Commerce, I believe. And, that's more of a technology type use, not industrial.
No, agreed. And so I'm not focusing on the labels and the semantics. I'm just saying, right, the area is, right, I mean, the Niskayuna School District bus garage is right there across the street, right, next door. So what was the motivation really for thinking about just having a place where kids are going to be in that environment?
Well, as far as where they are today, the current
Yeah.
facility, is literally on Balltown Road, where, their fear is kids running out onto Balltown Road with all that traffic. Parking lot being really close to the back there, the old building. This will help them modernize and, keep the facility so that it's further away from all the traffic. They found this. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Luigi, not to, my sound wasn't working before, but I just wanted to help walk through this. My name is Brooks Berg, and I'm also part of the development team and working with Luigi. It also a parent of the students at Our World. So there was a lot of thought that was brought behind the location because one, the proximity to Balltown Road and the safety of the current facility is just not where you it's a bigger concern. So we evaluated probably 7 different sites around Niskayuna due to the town and Niskayuna's current zoning. There's only certain areas that a daycare can operate as an independent, not in-home daycare. So we found a site on Balltown Road, which seemed ideal, but then at the end of the day, the traffic would have added more traffic to the Momentive, GE Vernova, JCC area. So trying to find a location that was kind of off the beaten path that didn't add to traffic was very limited. And this site is, if you've gone by, it's very secluded. It's a lot of people don't know where this exists, so it takes traffic off of Belltown and puts it, moves it to a less congested area. So there was a lot more pros into this site that you might not realize until you evaluate all the other options in Niskayuna.
Okay,
That
thanks.
question.
No, thank you. That's kind of the answer I was looking for in terms of what pros or cons are relative to the clientele that you're going to be serving there, which are the young people, right, and their families. Okay, yeah, I might come back later with other things, but I think that's good for now.
So to answer the other question about capacity, right now they have 46 students. And this new facility will have 62 students, including infant, which is a very small market in our area. Not a lot of people accept kids as young as 6 weeks. So this will open up a new market, but also expand what they currently have. So.
Is there any additional benefit you'll be deriving from being close to the quote unquote last stop of the buses?
I go back to the safety. Where they currently are is just so close to a state, it's a state highway.
Yeah.
And being.
No, I meant the benefit. And
Oh.
are like, will you have an after school program or?
They do, this is their own, Montessori has their own technique of education, and I can't really speak to that, but all the students that are there before and after school are current children. It's daycare.
Okay,
It's not.
so you won't be serving the school district, the Niskayuna school district.
No.
I just wanted to follow up quickly, Luigi, as when we met, it looks like a very good site plan. Thanks for such a thorough job. And just a quick update on TDE projects. We currently have 5 TDE projects in one stage of completion. This project, we requested a quote from Prime, which we received on January 30th. So we requested it on the 29th. We received it on the 30th. We sent that on to Brooke relative to payment, and we're working with her on the TDE program. I sent another email out today. So as soon as
Yep,
we
but
get
the
that
check's been
payment,
cut,
we'll,
so you will have that.
so that's just indicative of how we're handling TDE projects. As soon as we get that payment, the TDE is ready to go, and we'll initiate that. So.
Thank you. So can we go back to the site plan real quick? Got a few
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, and Chairman DiArpino, I'd like us to maybe deeper dive into the comment you brought up about the nature of the soil.
Yeah, so I'll just read what's in the packet again. It says, because the site is in a commercial park containing manufacturing sites and is near the old former tank grounds, and the proposal is to use the land for childcare center, they suggested that the planning board require the soil be tested for potential contamination. So I guess we would definitely encourage that if that's something that could be done with any of the current configuration or development. Do you know if Gillespie Group has done anything with the site or done any soil testing or anything as far as?
I'm not
this
sure on
parcel?
this particular, but I've seen stuff on 2 Commerce, and my understanding
we
something might have
plan
been
on
done
doing it
because
anyway.
this was a previously approved, so maybe something was done at
Might
that
have been
time.
done then, yeah.
Okay.
Was that Brooke that was trying to talk? Go ahead.
Yep, sorry. We plan on doing that anyway. Just
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
know
I
what
don't
the
think
soil
there's two ways. There's two
we
ways
don't
about
want to
this.
we don't want to risk going off of 10-year-old data,
Yep.
specifically to the soil and the groundwater containment.
Okay. Okay, great. So just touching on the site plan, I think banking parking is always great. If you don't need it and you've done a really good evaluation of that, I believe the board likes to support that as long as you feel, pretty solid on that. If you have to expand on, obviously you have to come back. So the site slopes away towards the bottom of the page, right? It goes downhill. And
Yeah,
then-
there's sort of a high point at the middle, like right in here.
Okay.
High point. Then the front of this will go in this direction,
Mhm.
and then from here, and here will all go in this direction.
Okay. Do you have the potential to expand that back area so that I know the playground is fenced in, but there's still not a steep grade that could maybe give them some more outdoor space, or
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah,
a
so-
pretty big head count for the kids that are in that facility. And I don't know if they all go outside at the same time or how they disperse them through the area, but
They're not all there at the same time.
Yeah, there's different time
different
slots.
times. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But there is a large area here that's sort of flatter,
Mhm.
you know, like from here's the back of the fence.
Right.
You know, it doesn't get steep till about here.
Also, one thing worth noting about the outdoor space, that's OCFS regulation. So we are going to theirs and then beyond that. So
Okay. Okay. With the other parcel that'll be divided off, and you had talked about where the large retention basin is there any future concern or issue with that second parcel having to flow across the back of this developed parcel?
No, because I think that's how it was always designed. Like
Okay.
looking at the SWIP, that entire parcel was occupied by building or parking where they then, you know, kind of sheeted their water towards the back and into the existing stormwater practice.
Okay. Okay. And
the other thing worth noting is the parcel next to that is Gillespie also owns, and it's about 85 acres. So whatever they end up doing with that parcel, they'll have to have their own retention pond. So if you're going to do any development, it makes sense to do all that at once.
okay.
You think?
We just want to avoid a situation where one parcel is developed, the other one comes in, then they're restricted to what they can or can't do, or they're looking for an easement to get across the other one. You've been through this before.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. And then I think the other thing, I mean, I'm not a fan of the dumpster being close to the road. If you want to take another stab at that, we generally try to have them tucked away. I don't know, towards the back, or if you're going to possibly consider reconfiguring some of the parking or something. If, you know, their dumpster pickup is, you said it's mostly bins that are wheeled
Yeah.
out there? Okay. Okay. You know.
I mean, it'll be enclosed
Mhm.
and, you know, we'll add some shrubs too, or arborvitaes around that so that, you know, it'll look green from the road.
It
But
says
it's something we can, something we can, you know, further discuss.
Okay.
You know,
All right. Just as an adjacent topic, since we brought it up, but this is for the planning department, Laura Clark. When we were doing the dumpster back at the property where this business previously was, were we aware that this change was going to happen?
Yes,
Okay. Was the planning board aware?
no,
Okay. That's fine. All set. Thank you.
So the other thing in the description that we received, this has a pretty aggressive timeline.
it does.
Okay. And I think that, just in fairness to the applicant and yourself, you know, special use permit, what this application entails, that's really aggressive.
We understand that.
Okay.
We thought though, with the stormwater kind of resolving itself because it's existing, I
Mhm.
know we have a TDE on board. You know, we've analyzed it already. And, you know, a lot of times the stormwater tends to go back and forth several times. I don't anticipate that here.
Okay.
And then as far as, you know, some of the layout items that you've already mentioned in regards to the dumpster,
Mhm.
I'm hoping we can agree and resolve that pretty quickly. So, yeah, and then lighting and, you know, landscaping, you know, that stuff is, you know, as long as we agree with the board in a good timeline, right, we can certainly update plans. And our goal and our commitment to this project is being able to turn things around as quick as we can so that we can try to meet that timeline. We do realize it's aggressive.
Also, in defense of our development team, we have experience in doing education facilities. We did a elementary school in Schenectady where we had 5 months to do 12,000 square foot fit up, and we got it done. So we can act fast. Obviously, it's going to be an expense. The more we have to do overtime or weekends, but this school, if we don't get to where we need to be, they're going to close down August 31st and displace 46 kids, and their neighbor, as of last week, just got closed down and already displaced 62 kids. So we're already in a child desert. We can't continue to develop in Niskayuna and like create all these jobs if we can't have the community services that support it. So we're doing what we can, and if we have to fabricate things offsite, we'll get it done, as long as we can all cooperate together. And it definitely is an aggressive timeline.
And Gillespie's self-performing the construction, is that correct?
No,
No.
they are doing the construction on the retention pond.
Okay.
So in light of the need for expediency here, I mean, creating these subdivisions on Commerce Park, isn't that a little bit of a well-established process? Or is every single one that comes in front of us new and different?
There isn't really like an overall subdivision plan for Commerce Park that's been designed. But it is pretty standard to have the lots subdivided when a tenant comes.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a pretty simple process to subdivide a lot there, I would say.
All right. And clearly this lot number one will be, can we talk a little bit about ownership? Who owns? Lot number one will be owned by the Montessori Child Care Center
Yes.
as an independent organization. And then lot
And-
number two will continue to be owned by
Galisi.
Galisi, right?
Correct.
Okay. So do they have is something needs to be said by Galisi in this application process?
We are in communication with them every day, and we are just fine tuning our purchase agreement, but everything is contingent on them fixing the retention pond before we go through with the final closing. And we're all working together with the town, with Gillespie, to make sure that happens ASAP.
And Laura, I know you've been working on the retention pond with them. Would that be just a building permit, did we say?
Yeah, that's just a building permit because that was approved under a different subdivision.
And I think we did agree that we would have a TDE or someone do a final inspection just to verify that it met the original design drawings.
Correct.
Do we have a project lead for this?
I do not believe that we do. Okay. We have a project lead, Ms. Gold. So, I mean, we're always supportive of trying to work with the applicants and move these applications through. I just want to be very, very upfront that it's an aggressive timeline. And, you know, we have to have a recommendation for the special use permit that's got to go to the town board. We have a public hearing that's got to go through TDE review. I mean, this is a pretty aggressive timeline. So we'll work towards it as diligently as we can. I don't know if there is a backup plan if you're not renewing that lease currently, and what happens, like you just touched upon, there's another business that's currently, you know, letting children go someplace else in the interim until things are established. So I just want to make sure the expectation level is that, you know, it's the first time we're seeing this application, and it's, you know, basically the middle of February. Okay.
Yeah, to just, add to, Chairman Diarpino's point, Ms. Berrigan, that end of August is a hard stop because of a lease arrangement at the current location?
Correct. Yeah, the landlord will not renew. So it's out of our control in that perspective. So if we don't have a next step, there really is no other place based off the current zoning and the current landlord. The tenant next door, the daycare that just closed, it was not because of the business operator. It was only because of the business operator. It wasn't because of the building or they didn't want to renew. It was you get the license revoked based off of behavior. So that was something out of
No. All right, I don't think maybe we need to talk about that case, but in your case, so you feel like you've exhausted all possibilities and going from like a month-to-month lease or something else with that landlord, meaning does that landlord have another tenant ready to take possession on September 1?
Not yet, because they will have to go in front of you for a change in tenancy.
Right, so. I
So
mean,
can I just speak to this a little bit? I think Brooke reached out to the planning department actually multiple months ago, and I can speak to all the different parcels that we looked at to see what would work. And I can't underscore how much work it was for her. I mean, I know many of the developers that she talked to and looked at all the different parcels. You may not see it, but she's been running around like a mad woman. This is the only parcel that she was able to find that could maybe have a timeline to get the kids in. It's the only one. I tried with her. We tried. I mean, I don't know that we can really list all the different parcels that we looked at together, but for sure, this is the only one that even has the possibility of getting there in August.
no, okay, Laura. So look, I appreciate that from what Ms. Bergen has said earlier, right? And I do agree there was a lot, I mean, I do see and can feel there was a lot of hard work going into the site selection, so that makes sense. You raised another point in the question I had asked as to why this place. So it seems also this one is most timely potentially for being open for business. I'm good with all of that. It just goes back to Chairman DiArpino's comment, and you know this better than both he and I, right? What the realism is on the timeline that's there, especially given that there's a town board operation that goes on in this. Right, so I was just trying to establish what would a backup plan be other than just closing the door in August to the 40 or 60 students that, you know, or you know, clientele that you know, that would be impacted.
I think
Because
if we had another option, a temporary option that was in Niskuna, it'd be something to be considered, but we just can't find it.
Yeah, I mean, as a planning department, to date yet, we are in no position to guarantee an exact timeline, right? Is that
We
statement fair?
we never guarantee exact timelines. But
Right.
I did want to bring up, so we see like daycares co-locating in churches, which I realize isn't a brand new building, but we often compress that timeline because it's such a simple special use permit request, the daycares. The town board is often very comfortable compressing their timeline for daycares too. It's pretty much, in my 10 years here, the only one that we compress, but I would say pretty much every daycare that special use permit that I've seen come through, the town board will compress their schedule for, to help.
It's a much
Okay, I
needed
mean,
service.
just, yeah, as long as we're just clear that, you know, we're dealing with an aggressive timeline here which has a very, you know, unfortunate endpoint if it doesn't get achieved, right?
And we are taking on that risk as the developer and on the construction team, because we know that if we can do 12,000 square feet in 5 months, this is 5,500 square feet. You know, we can get going in March. That'd be amazing. But we know that's probably not realistic with all of the approvals. So we can start fabricating things off-site, and we can do whatever we need to do in order to be able to go onto the site as soon as we get approval.
And that's why the applicant too asked us to prepare site plans in the detail that we've prepared so far. I mean, it's very rare that, you know, we're submitting detailed site plans like this on the first submission to this planning board. So, you know, keep that in mind that, you know, the applicant, you know, has asked us and we've prepared everything that we can at this point. And, you know, we'll work with the TDE and, you know, I think the stormwater, you know, obviously we went through that discussion. It's an existing, which will help, I think, in this situation. But yeah, anything we can do, we're willing to do. So.
Okay.
Is the town board aware of this, Laura Clark?
The full board, probably not, but a fair amount of the town board members, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's try to map out a little bit of a path here. So we've got a project lead, we got a TDE signed up on this. First time we've seen the drawings. They're relatively, you know, pretty good site package with some details that are on there. one second while I scroll through some. So as far as the actual building design itself, if you're kind of fast tracking this, are you in preliminary design?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so I figure there's a whole nother set of drawings or something that's going on behind the scenes.
That's correct.
Contingent on this. Okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
I mean, what I would add, the same advice we give every project like this that comes through is make sure that you have a project manager who's waking up thinking about this project every day and where it stands, because we can't manage your project for you. We will turn our activities around as quickly as we can, but we can't be your project manager on the whole project. So you guys have to really be on top of that. And, it gets to the little things like turning around the TDE fee so that can get started. Or then when a first comment letter comes in, making sure that those comments get addressed by your engineer. That's where time gets lost on projects like this. So you really need a project engineer literally thinking about it every day, especially with such an aggressive timeline.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'll volunteer our planning department to do, which we've done previously, is we outline the steps for the special use permit and all the things that go with it. Not hard dates, but we put that outline together so that the board understands what the next steps are when we're making our recommendations. Again, I think you've done some due diligence on this. It doesn't look like it's triggering any zoning. So as long as we're, bypassing that portion of it, sometimes that comes up into the process as well. That takes a lot of time into an application. So if we can, have that together for a future meeting, we can sit down and you can sit down with, your team to digest what's going on. I fully realize that you're doing a lot of work behind the scenes, which is great. And if you get it open and September 1st, we'll all be there to cut the ribbon. But, I think we should, really work with the project leads in the planning department here on establishing what those steps are so that there is no confusion as to where we are in this process.
Okay.
And actually, we did put this one on the CAC ahead of time.
Okay.
Aside from the fact that they just wanted to make sure the soils were safe, they didn't identify any major environmental issues with the project. So I'm sure that they'll be doing a full recommendation at their next meeting. My recommendation to you guys, unless I'm hearing any major, concerns with this proposal, would be a resolution to set a public hearing at the next meeting. Just like I'm going to ask you actually for GE in a little bit, so that the public hearing would be the first meeting in March, unless there's a major outstanding issue that you can think of before then.
Okay. So Laura, just globally, we would have potentially 3 public hearings at the next meeting.
So, and this is the thing about the resolutions, I'm gonna say resolution setting. So the end of February, we have 3 public hearings,
Right.
6 St. Gerard,
Mhm.
27 Balltown, and Niskuna Harbor. What I would be asking for you guys is at that same meeting, when we have those 3 public hearings, we also have 2 resolutions calling for public hearing.
Okay.
One for this project and one for GE, so that those public hearings would be held the first meeting in March. That gives us a whole month to get through engineering and, any little smaller details. But if there's no major objections, I think that gets them on the right track to get this project going.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in agreement
Sounds
with
good.
that.
I think that's very
And-
reasonable.
Yeah, and just speaking for myself on this application that's in front of us, the main thing that I like to be able to see as soon as possible is that soil and water test. Sounds good?
Yeah, we'll work on that tomorrow.
All right. Great. Any other discussion items? All right. Thank you for your time.
So
Oh,
you have
and-
to call for a resolution of anything tonight?
Mhm.
No?
No, we'll
Thought
call.
Laura recommended a resolution for the next meeting so that,
I think
so
she
we'll do
called
that at the next meeting.
a
Okay.
resolution at the next
At the
meeting to
next meeting.
call
At the
for
next
public-
meeting to
public-
call for the public
got it.
hearing for, it would be in March.
All right. I
Okay.
was just trying to sneak in a site plan approval. No, All good.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Good, thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, and last up on discussion items is 400 Balltown Road. This is Bank of America at 400 Balltown Road, Suite 2, an application for a tenant change to Bank of America. Do we have a representative from the applicant here? Online?
Yes, good afternoon, or good evening, excuse me. My name is Victor Grande. I'm the civil engineer on the project. Along with me is Steve Ness, who is the Bank of America CBRE representative. And we're here tonight to discuss the application.
Okay, great. So this is the location, I guess the gap is closed, right?
The gap.
So, Laura, if you could pull up the site plan, thanks. So it's a corner building, and the area that Bank of America, thank you, and the area that Bank of America is looking to basically like parcel out within that existing footprint is the front corner that takes up quite a bit of the, we'll call it like the glass storefronts that are there, and then does leave a set of double doors on the side. There's an egress built into the inside. And then there's some adjacent tenant space that kind of wraps around where the subdivided space would be.
Yes, that is correct. Mhm.
Okay. Outside shows some landscaping improvements and demarcation of parking spaces on that front corner. Looks like some improvements too to the sidewalk area. Is that correct?
Yes, so what we are proposing here is we're proposing to remove 3 vehicular parking spaces in which we would be creating a two handicap ADA parking spaces. And in doing so, we've also surveyed the ADA route. So what you're looking at here is the limits of demolition shown in red. And basically, if you would scroll down on the page, there's the other viewport, which would then show what the proposed condition would be. From a layout standpoint, which would be the 2 ADA parking spaces, a new ADA curb ramp, and the replacement of the sidewalk required to meet ADA compliance to the front door.
Okay. How familiar are you with this plaza currently?
I'm not sure what do you mean?
So this is right now there's a retail store in there and a bank going in. This is kind of quickly becoming like the financial institution of Niskayuna. It's another bank, which I think there's definitely use for. There's another Bank of America on Upper Union Street, right?
Yes,
In there,
there is.
okay, all right. So one of the things that I don't think we have any issue with a tenant coming in. That's another banking institute, but the footprint that you have in there doesn't really allow for potential use of the other tenant space. Did you discuss that with the landlord when you were kind of subdividing that space up? Do you follow what I'm getting at here? So right now, the gap is a pretty large footprint, and then now you've taken a small portion of the space, right? There's still a storefront or a set of doors that are on the one facade there, but I think it's blank on what we'll call the right-hand side. Does that make sense?
The right on going plan east, you're saying?
Correct. So if you're looking at if north is
So
the
that
top of the
area right
page,
there where the cursor is,
correct.
that's actually going to be like a service corridor area towards the back entrance of the adjacent space.
Okay.
So that, that'll be just kind of by the landlord space and stuff like that. That's where it'll house the main entry for the electricals and stuff like that to come into there. The space adjacent to it, I think our space is looking to be around 4,200 square feet.
Okay.
That leaves that space above us almost like somewhere probably around in the 30,000, 4,000, less than probably 3,000 plus square foot.
Right.
So I think that, I think the landlord has deemed that acceptable for another tenant.
Okay. Yeah, it's just an odd configuration. We're hoping that, you know, anytime a space is sometimes subdivided, it would lend to having the ability to have another commercial business or retail client go in there. And I know that there's an area. So just so everyone's kind of clear, that dashed line that goes around there, that's the footprint of the Gap.
Hmm.
That's not a wall or anything that's in that space. But that backside is all, there's no storefront. So it's just, it's a blank wall on that side. And then they've got some glass on that side as well. So I don't know if
I believe if you look, I
just-
think in the package shows the overall floor plan of the site
Mhm.
that we'll be putting that of the bank. It will be in there utilizing that glass frontage.
So just like the square part with the solid line would be where the bank is, and then that dotted line would be like, so basically there's room around that solid line where there'd be nothing. Is that what we're saying? Like that square that you just outlined, that'd be where the bank is. And then almost like that kind of, you know, L shape would be just open going forward.
Just this, the small portion of the L is just going to be a corridor. The backside, the whole, the space of the remaining tenant will be that whole kind of square across, rectangle across, including from front to back.
And I think
Yes,
I think it's
there's
a little
a-
confusing too. So the solid rectangle is the proposed space
Mm-hmm.
you're going to use. As Chairman Darpino said, the dashed line is what was previously the gap.
The Gap.
Yes,
But so there's a wall there where that dashed line is?
yes,
Okay.
Is that wall staying?
yes,
Oh, it is staying. Okay. All right. So the door from your proposed bank footprint that goes out into that corridor, that wall staying.
that's
That one.
yes, the dark line is the new wall. A new demising wall will be put in through there. And that will be a new demising wall between our space and the space next to it.
I understand. So, and then the blank space behind it is just space that's basically allocated to the bank's footprint that you're renting. Is that correct?
No, we are not
No?
renting any of the space behind it. That becomes a service corridor that's common property.
Okay.
I feel like it would be helpful to have the interior plans for the demising wall because it is very confusing.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. That would probably be helpful just to see how the space is being subdivided.
They were included in the grouping. I did see that in one of the packages. I'm trying to see.
yes, the sheet number is A02.01. It's not the fourth page in the application packet.
We have,
Yeah, because currently we're in that back area behind our Bison line. That's like back a house of Gap right now.
Oh, wait, hang on. No, I mean, I just have the.
no,
Yeah.
Laura, we only have 2 drawings in that package.
Yeah, that's all we have.
Okay.
So could you go back to the other picture they had with the that we're just looking at with the dotted line and then the solid? Okay. So if you zoom into that, so is the top portion, which is going to be like the empty space, is that going to be boxed off into a square, and then that small little or rectangle, and the small rectangle on the side along the bank, that's just going to be like a corridor, like so it could access, you know, theoretically the bank and that open space, or
Yes,
okay. So there's going to be like a rectangle at the top there that could be rented out.
yes.
Okay. Where's the entrance to the bank going to be?
The bank entrance will be where it says right there. The primary bank entrance will be there on the left side of the building.
So like where? Just because. Where would it be?
I believe it's kind of the left bottom.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that would be a new, because I think they have a door on that side, but it's
It's
not
at
that
the
corner.
existing doors.
Okay.
It is at the existing doors.
So it would.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's okay. I get what you're saying. That'd be
Yeah,
fine.
there's also elevations that were provided too as well with the architectural plan set too. So basically what there is the only items that will be changing on the exterior of the building would be the signage for Bank of America, which would be located above the two double doors we're speaking of at primary bank entrance location. And then there'll also be a set of, another sign which would be located just above the ADA parking spaces.
So would the way to get into that top rectangle be through that corridor?
No. That would only be a back entrance. Where
Okay, so what would be the entrance to the top rectangle?
they'll make a new, the landlord will make a new one in the glass frontage.
On the same side that the Bank of America door is?
Correct.
Okay.
The back would be a second point of entrance or egress out the rear.
Doors there then. Well, I'll do it then, but I guess it works.
Guess in theory they can do that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you mentioned a couple other pieces of information. We don't have those in our packet, so we'll just have to check with the planning department if that was part of the full submission or if maybe they were inadvertently left out, but we can take that would be helpful information for us to see the elevations and the other visuals that are part of that, including the signage.
Understood.
Can I ask a question? Is
Yes.
this an additional site or a relocation?
I'm not able to answer that right now. I'm not really sure.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jerry Hogu, and I am also with Steve Ness. So right now, the bank is not aware of, does not have any plans on, they don't know what they're doing yet. So unfortunately, we do not have an answer for you at this time.
Is the bank aware that there's an ATM kind of in the same plaza to an extent less than a mile up the road? There's like a standalone ATM.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm truly puzzled that my question could not be answered.
Oh, because we're still in the early stages of the planning process. So we'll definitely have an answer as we go through the process. Definitely, we will. By the time we go for permit.
Okay.
We're just kind of the middleman on this with the bank and just deal with the construction of sites.
Is that another way of saying you're simply not allowed to state or you haven't been told?
They're not
I
approved on
would
the
think the
site.
bank would know what it's doing.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So
Then
go ahead,
oh.
Laura. Go ahead.
Well, I can't remember if any of you guys were on the call when Clark and I talked about this originally, but sometimes the landlord takes the demising wall through itself. But I think Bank of America's timeline, you wanted to do the demising with your tenant change. But I definitely think we need to see the better demising drawings. I just looked through all the emails and I don't see any. Maybe they were only paper copies, but I definitely think we need to get that information into the packet.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be very helpful for us to see how the space is being subdivided. It's not a one-to-one tenant change, so I think we should take a little bit deeper look into this just to make sure that, you know, if the landlord is fine with subdividing the space and, you know, saying, hey, listen, I'm going to salvage some of this square footage to not be used for any commercial or retail rental, you know, that's a decision they can make. You know, we try not to encourage, you know, vacant storefronts or anything like that if not possible. But I think it'd just be good to see that. And then, you know, if a smaller subdivision of that tenant space is definitely the way to go. We just want to see what the residual areas could potentially be used for.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just have one clarifying question. I'm sorry if it was discussed before. Maybe I missed it. Is the Gap still going to be in business, or are they gone?
Their lease ends in March.
They're gone.
Okay. Are they gone as of now, or are they staying through the end of March? Does anyone know?
My understanding is they're till the end of March.
Okay, because I haven't obviously been to the Gap in a long time, so I'm not sure if they're still there. Okay, got it. Thank you for the answer.
Well, a friend of mine said that they were closed, actually.
Okay. Okay, all right, good to know. Thank you. So the plan here is we're gonna subdivide that space, have the Bank of America, and then there's some expectation that something happens to the rest of it too, or you don't have to answer, but
Yes,
I think-
that's that's under the landlord's
okay, all right.
decision, not us.
Got it.
We've put our our program together and determined that this was the appropriate amount of square footage for our use. It fits into that space, and the landlords agreed to that area to be
Okay.
demised out for us.
Okay,
Currently, there are no plans for that space, or we are not aware of any plans for that extra space.
thank you.
All right, great. So there's a little bit of information that you'll be providing the planning office. This is another good one. If anyone's looking to take it on as a project lead, be worthwhile to go down there, take a look at where the storefronts are. Basically, from the site plan that we currently have, you can pace off how big the building is on that corner. And maybe you can grab some photographs and stuff just for our own internal purposes, just so we can take a look at them at the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll make sure that you have the floor plan and the elevations by this Wednesday, so they can be hopefully resolved in the next meeting.
Okay. Yeah, the deadline for our February 23rd meeting would be information in by Wednesday, correct?
Correct.
This Wednesday. All right. Any other comments or concerns? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, that wraps up discussion items. So on to reports. First up is 2147 Eastern Parkway. These are facade upgrades. I'll turn it over to the planning department to kind of give us a quick update on that parcel and where that is with the, I guess, new ownership and new development.
You want me to take it, Laura?
Yeah, I'll try and pull the facade up while you're talking.
Okay. I mean, you may remember this project. It's been around for quite a while. It started out with Lou Lisi, brought it all the way through the planning board process. It's a mixed use building with some office space in front, and then 2 apartments on the back of the first floor, 4 apartments on the second floor, 4 apartments on the third floor. He then sold it to Mr. Hodorowski, who got a building permit for it, got a foundation plan, and there's actually been a foundation in the ground with a slab for the better part of at least a year, maybe a little longer. Yeah. So Frank Barbera has now purchased that as of maybe almost a year ago or so. And it bounced around a little bit when Lou Lisi was selling it. There was talk of trying to come back to the planning board and change it, but Mr. Hodorowski went forward with the plan that Mr. Lisi had approved. Frank Barbera has the same plan for the mixed use, same number of apartments, same square footage of commercial. There is a condition in the resolution saying that the final facade plan shall be reviewed and approved by the Architectural Review Board. So when Frank Barbera purchased the property, he wanted to freshen up the exterior of the building a little bit more to make it a little more contemporary. So Laura and I felt that because the resolution said the facade of the building should be reviewed and approved by the Architectural Review Board. 2 members of the Architectural Review Board are part of this project team from the architecture standpoint and ownership standpoint. And we felt although the Architectural Review Board really likes this design, we felt it was a little bit more than just a facade change, so that it should come back at least for the planning board to take a look at it and give it your, hands up vote kind of thing. Just out of kind of respect to the planning board, we felt like that's a little bit more than just changing the minor facade. So, it's a little bit like River's Ledge. To me, it's kind of a slightly toned down version of River's Ledge, but
It's not sitting in River's Ledge.
yeah.
And I don't think it goes great where it is going to sit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
I have
across.
issues with it.
It's across from the church, and Laura, I don't know if you have any images of where it's located.
What's the basis of bringing it back to the planning board for completeness, Clark, Laura? It's coming under based on our facade review.
Yeah,
submission?
in the resolution for approval,
Okay.
I think condition 1 said final facade must be reviewed and approved by the architectural review board.
But the architectural review board can't have a quorum voting on this because 2 of the members on the architectural review board are involved in the project. And like Clark said, to be respectful of the planning board, the ARB likes it. The members that were left there like it, but I think we just wanted to make sure that it had the.
Okay, I got it. You clarified what. So when you said project team, you literally meant the project team of the applicant submitting this.
Yeah, so because Frank Barber is on the architectural review board,
Yeah, okay,
and the
okay.
architect that designed it is on the architectural review board. So they had to. They
Got it.
didn't discuss
Understood.
it. It was the remaining members liked it, but.
Well, I mean, Leslie had started speaking, and so the reason I asked the question is that I think there's going to be a lot of discussion on this. So I just want to make sure we're on good legal footing where that discussion is concerned.
And do we have a picture of what was approved?
I don't think there was one.
Yeah, no, I think,
Was
Was there something?
I think there's some slides in there, Laura, yeah.
I guess that's the best view of it.
That's essentially what was approved. There was a lot of back and forth between vertical siding and horizontal siding.
Yeah, I don't.
I
that
personally
one better.
I personally like the new design.
It's going to be a challenge to
We
match.
like edgy.
Yeah.
That's where a lot
Neighbors
of-
may not.
But a lot of places are going like
Yeah.
for that though.
Yeah.
Like that's a continuation of further down Eastern on
It's like
in
Rugby
Schenectady.
on Bauhaus.
No, I think it's more contemporary. I happen to like it. I don't think the massing's that bad. Some of the issues I had with the other one was that I know they were trying to work in the gables to be a little bit more residential, but I was never a big fan of that center bay that just had the same.
Me neither.
It's the same thing that's tacked on to the what do you call it, the medical building
Yeah,
across the street,
yeah.
because they had to have a canopy over it. At one point, there was a recessed facade there. I thought which was a little bit better. It went up and broke up the roof line a little bit. There's porches on the corners that give it a little bit of depth on this one here. That kind of breaks that up, but it was a pretty long facade that was on that one. I don't mind the massing. I think it looks good.
I mean, this is up by the church. There's some other family dwellings up there. Then as you go back down towards Schenectady, you get into the single family homes. But it's worth, if you're uncomfortable with it, it's worth really going and looking in that area, because
I will.
there's other bigger buildings like the church.
Yeah,
Right
Where
across the
Dance Me
street.
is,
basically.
where Dance Me is, they've got that's
Yeah.
a more
Yeah,
contemporary.
the
brick
Dance
build.
Me's brick.
It's not the
Mm-hmm.
size.
Across the
it's
street is the
style.
temple, or is the Heaven Gates,
Mhm.
and then
But,
on the
but
other side is a brick
let's just be
church.
clear. The western face here is the face we're looking at, right? The one that's facing Schenectady, that's facing Palmer Ave.
Eastern.
I would say
Oh.
based on that orientation, you're looking. The left facade is facing Eastern Parkway.
So that one is facing eastern.
Correct.
Yeah, where the guy with the blue shirt, he's walking along the sidewalk
Yeah.
on Eastern. And
Okay.
then this is just the entrance to the parking lot.
That's the
so-
entrance, so that's off the parking lot. Okay, got
Right,
it.
the
So-
road is
so-
over here with the cherry tree.
I mean, we could
Okay.
get some other views, other renderings too, if that would help.
No, no,
just
no,
to
no, you
see
explained it. I
straight
just needed
on.
to orient myself on the picture. So where the person in blue sweater is walking, that's Eastern. Okay.
I mean, this is a little bit of an odd angle, the way you're seeing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think
The
it's going to
corner.
make
So,
a difference. I think
Yeah, we're
it's
seeing it
not.
from the parking lot. We definitely want to see it from the different streets, right?
I'd call it
So-
hodgepodge.
Things,
I don't
It's
agree.
ugly in my eyes.
Yeah.
it will look dated at
Kinda
some point.
old and like,
Yeah.
The other one had a bit of a residential
Very dull.
character to it, fits the area.
So I guess that's going to be then what's the
I may
planning
be-
board's?
Yeah.
I may be the only one who has a problem with it. I don't know.
we could flip a coin.
But I had a very visceral
I
reaction.
mean,
so-
what does the planning board have the authority to?
I mean, we've weighed in on larger developments where we've had the aesthetics as part of it.
Mhm.
And then we've made the recommendation to the ARB to, again, take a look at it and vet it out.
But the ARB can't do that because they don't have a quorum with,
Right. But they're a non-binding, I mean, they're a non-binding
Exactly.
committee.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you could ask the architect to look at it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I gotta believe the architect who traditionally does it, if it's Mike Roman, like we might need to do a drive-by and see if these color themes actually complement the existing structures in the neighborhood. I know that
Yeah.
the church diagonally across Palmer is that lighter brown. I know that the stonework kind of matches some of the stonework on Union. This is very similar to another multi-unit further down Eastern. It's quite a ways away, but if you're driving up Eastern and you're thinking Schenectady, kind of fits in with that Schenectady theme further down Eastern.
Is that tan or white? So it has like the wood and then like the
I think
dark
it-
color. Is that tan or white?
In the back there,
Like on the left and on the far right
That's like a
on the
slate.
top.
I think my guess is it's probably more of a
Stucco.
tan. I don't think it's bright.
There
white.
is like a tan building right
Yeah.
around that area too.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it looks like it's at least 5 different colors.
1, 2,
we can certainly ask the project team on this to come and present this to you. You know, we didn't,
Yeah.
maybe we were, we should have had them come here so they could explain some of these things and the design elements. I'm sure knowing them that they've looked at the neighborhood and they're drawing off some of the other colors that are there.
There's a lot of brick buildings on that road.
a lot of brick
Yeah.
in that area.
Like a lot of brick.
So I think, Clark, to your comment, I think so it seems like we have a legal standing to look and comment and make a resolution on this, right? And I think getting, complete views, maybe all 4 sides, maybe something realistically placed in the neighborhood where we can see what across the streets look like. And also, I mean, that could also happen through just a resubmission of the plot plan, right?
So
With
the
this
plot
footprint
plan
down
is-
it.
So just the plot plan is approved and had a pre-construction meeting and is under construction. That's how Clark started.
Yeah.
The plot
No,
plan
no,
is changing.
Yeah, no, I meant instead of showing views, I'm willing to just at least see a plot plan again that kind of just says where the faces are.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. I know the plot plan's approved.
And the zoning there is,
I mean, like all that greenery that's on the
Yeah.
Palmer Street side, is all that greenery real? Or is that just rendition?
No, that's actually, I think, real. What the tree council worked out with Lou Lisi when he was designing the building was to mirror the cherry trees that are across the street at, yeah,
Having-
Gates of Heaven.
Gates of Heaven. Thank you, Leslie.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just stuff like that I think we'll want to see, right?
Sure, we can line that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is all approved. This is under 35 feet. This is, right. This
Yeah.
is just a,
Yeah.
it's taking it's a different roof.
Right.
And it's taking a vertical. I mean, compared to the other image that we had, this looks 1,000% better to me. Like, the proportions didn't align with the other image, but that was an early version that I thought we would probably have to review differently. And
Yeah, I
it's
don't
very
want to,
different.
I don't want to speak for Mr. Barbera, but Laura, if you flipped back, I think he thought that design had no like punch or real
Not at
appeal
all.
to it, that
At all.
it's not going to attract people who really want to go and live there in those upper apartments.
I agree.
He was looking for something a little more contemporary, a little more upscale. This is a walkable part of Eastern Parkway, and I think he was trying to invigorate that area with something that's a little bit
That
more
looks totally
contemporary.
commercial to me.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
no
well,
way I'd
actually,
want to live
just
there.
to remind you guys, though, there is commercial on the first floor. It's a mixed use building.
And there's other buildings on there that are, 2 or 3 toned buildings. Like they're not all just one singular color. And even like there's a church down the road that is like a more like lighter brown
Lighter brown.
brick, and it kind of matches that.
I think he's pulling from that.
Yeah.
And then across the street, there's apartments that are all brick. They're darker brick. So I think he's kind of doing that.
My complaint isn't with the brick, it's with so many different colors,
Yeah.
so many vertical lines. It just looks very, very commercial, not at all residential, and not suited to the area.
Do we have, well, first, I just want to say the first rendering looks very reminiscent of the Amendor development across from Market 32. So it doesn't look, it looks duplicative a little bit. But is there guidance in which we actually have space to, design, I think is subjective. I do like it. But I do have more of a modern eye. But are there guidelines in which we don't debate just, our taste, but we can operate in which, things that we actually can move forward in I guess in our purview? Because I think if we, as buildings start to change in our neighborhoods, I think, whenever some of the older designs were created, some people before then may not have liked, the way those were being developed. But I think as we progress, styles change. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's just reminiscent of we're going to have younger communities moving in. We want to have young professionals, and sometimes they do need something that's a little bit more updated to kind of draw them into the community.
I think that's a good point. And not to play devil's advocate, because I do like the new one, but there is a building down the road that actually looks like the old one a little bit too. So I think either way, there's buildings that match both. But I agree at that point, if you're trying to attract, maybe people who are a little bit younger, you want something that's a little more
Edgy.
modern looking. No, modern looking, not edgy, modern.
It's edgy.
Well, I think in fairness to the applicant, because this has changed hands a few times, the site plan is staying the same. There's building on the footprint. They're not triggering any zoning. Let's give the applicant the chance to present this to us, talk about maybe the materials so we have a better understanding. Looks like there might be some metal components. Maybe there's, I guess, a cement-based siding that looks like wood or some things like that. Let's get some input of what what the design intent is, and get a discussion going with them.
Yeah, it's fair.
Can we ask him to bring Plan B if he's got one?
I don't have any idea what they've presented or where it's gone since the architecture review board. This is the only rendering that's been.
We
put out.
could certainly say if there were things they were kicking around as options, we'd be open to seeing them.
So he has submitted a building permit with this facade.
Okay.
And as part of the building permit review process, we were checking all the boxes and realized that the ARB didn't really have a quorum. But I would say generally speaking, I reached out to him to see if he couldn't come to this meeting or the next one, and I haven't heard back from him yet. I think it's probably going to catch him a little bit off guard, but I think we can get him to come I think he took on a project that was really languishing because Hodorowski went into, I don't really know, bankruptcy or something. And he's trying to salvage it. It's been a vacant, open basement for a while. Metroplex actually had to help us clean up the site a couple times because it was semi-dangerous and pretty ugly. So Frank is really committing, I think, mostly because he loves Niskayuna, to come in here and try and make it right and make it better. I'm not even sure how much money he's necessarily making on this project. But with, yeah, his vision is definitely different than the last one that we saw. So I think we just want to make sure that nobody's surprised when the building goes up and you guys have a chance to think about it.
Yeah. When is he planning on starting construction of the building, Laura?
So, he's been working with Tom on some energy code stuff, but I would think that he would like to break ground in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah, and Laura, we appreciate having this come back to us because those of us that follow these projects, if you see it being built and all of a sudden you drive,
Approved, yeah.
yeah, it is not what we approved. You know, somebody could ask a lot of other questions. So I do appreciate it, but I think in fairness to the applicant, we should have just another discussion with them to talk it through and talk about materials. I mean, we did that on the last application, and I think ultimately we kind of control where this is going to end up. But I would also make the recommendation, if you drive up, I think it's Route 50, if you're going up there, Social Plaza has some similar areas like this. There's some places in Glenville that have had C2 Design has done development like that. If you're over by the Schenectady County Airport, in that back area, there's a couple new buildings going up that, you know, where C2 Design is using this more, you know, we'll call it more modern facades. So it's worth a while to go over. and take a look.
Consistent with others around the
That's what she
area.
was complaining about. Thank you.
That's very-
Somebody already noted to me how ugly it looked.
Yeah. Well, some people like it.
But to Sui's question, we don't really have great architectural guidance. It's actually one of the reasons we refer stuff to the Architectural Review Board. And that works very well. Just so happens that it has a conflict this time. But yeah, and it's one of the things they were thinking about working on. We don't have great standards, so a lot of it is a little bit more of a murky area.
And generally, I'm not for being overly controlling on such issues, but there is a benefit to having things fit the area they're going into.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we say that a lot. Like, okay, look at the buildings around you. Is it in character with the neighborhood? A lot of that's kind of what we use.
Okay. Next up on reports is GE Vernova.
Yeah, so GE Vernova is actually sort of in the same boat as the daycare, in which they are trying to break ground and be complete with their entire site project by summer, so that when their CEO comes in, they make this their global headquarters or whatever they're doing. They'll have the entrance done out front. So I feel like we don't have any major objections. We have referred it to the zoning board. The zoning board is taking action on it, here in a week and a half or so. Is that I was requesting because it seems like you guys are going towards resolutions that set the public hearing, which personally I think is fine. It's very technically accurate to do that. But for GE's sake, I was wondering if we could call for a resolution setting a public hearing at the end of the month so that their public hearing would be at the beginning of March.
So we formally call for the resolution for the meeting on the 23rd, correct?
No, the resolution would be on the meeting at the time.
On the meeting for the 23rd to call for the public hearing on March 9th.
March.
Yeah.
Correct. Because we seem to like to do it with resolution now, which, like I say, I think that's fine. I'm trying to keep the schedules going because in my mind, that's one step that sometimes we used to do verbally, but if we want to be consistent and we want to start using those resolutions, which I'm fine with, I just want to make sure that we're not losing track of the timeline.
Just a quick update on the TDE for that project was the same thing. We got an immediate quote from the TDE on January 29th. Quote was received, was sent to GE Vernova with a payment request. Laura signed the proposal, and we're awaiting GE Vernova's reply. I reached out to Matt Savoy again today. He's in the process of working with their accounting department to get that paid. So we're in the same boat of turning it around immediately, and we're just waiting for the check to begin the TDE work.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we're like collectively, I think we're supportive of that. All right, great. Anything else under reports?
That's all I have. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Moving on to commission business. I'll open it up to the board. Any open items from anyone? Okay. I had a few just to kind of cap off the meeting. So obviously we have a very busy February, and the planning department is actually very, very busy with a lot of applications. So take a look at the projects. We need leads on a lot of things. If you want to co-lead with somebody, reach out to another board member or talk to the planning department. It would be good to, try to get as many project leads assigned to these as quickly as we can. One of the other great things that we've had established is that we do these coordination meetings, and I'll, throw my thanks over here to Ms. Strang and Mr. Laflamme. The coordination meetings actually are great ways to work through things. They help with the findings. The applicants are really receptive to them, and it does help the timeline, keep on pace. So it's not where something is put into an applicant's court, it sits there, they miss 2 or 3 meetings, we forget about it, they come back and forth. The coordination meetings are great. Same thing with the site visits. We try to encourage the site visits. Obviously, this spring we'll have some more. So as project leads, or if you're co-leading a project and you have some of the larger projects, definitely talk to the applicants and the planning department about scheduling those meetings. I think the ones that they've been doing the last couple of years have been extremely beneficial. So
Do all of these need lead? I mean, I noticed that like some of them, I don't know, are they so straightforward that maybe they don't need a lead?
So I think like with the case of maybe Bank of America, it's not a straight tenant change. And if we're concerned about retail space being left over or, wanting to talk to, those are the types of things that we want someone to kind of take a little bit deeper dive into. And when you do that as a project lead in the interim between the meetings, you have the chance to go walk the space or meet with the applicant and see things from, hopefully a perspective that you can bring back to the board. We rely really strongly on the leads to, gather information, go out, talk with the applicants, discuss things with the planning department so that we can, make the best decisions that we can. And then the other thing that we're working on is, so as we're conditioning resolutions, we have other recommendations that come in. And a good example is tonight we had stuff from the CAC. So sometimes when we see a resolution, we're not always akin to seeing the CAC meetings or seeing another committee meeting where a recommendation comes in and a condition gets put on there and you might think, hey, we didn't really discuss that with the applicant. So what we're doing is there's always a checklist of, I call them like general conditions. So one of them is, native species. We're always encouraging specific things. We want to put together a list, and that might be 6 to 10 things that we want to make sure each application that we go through, we discuss those things to tell them, hey, these could be potential conditions that we put on the resolutions. There'll be other conditions that we do on there, but I just wanted to make sure that when you're seeing conditions on the resolutions, the planning department has reviewed those with other boards or committees, and that's why they're in there. They're not shoehorned in. They're not, just arbitrarily put in. They're there because they've been discussed. And we're working, we're going to try to reach out to the CAC. They have a whole bunch of things that they like to see. And the ones that are applicable to those applications, we want to go through and use those. We talk about lighting and parking and, things like that. We want to make sure that we're not missing any of those, and having that checklist we think would be kind of helpful. So that was it.
Yeah, I think we think the more we can standardize, especially some of the routine things, the simpler that will be, and it'll be less confusing to everyone. So hopefully you'll see that more soon.
Like landscaping dumpsters and such.
Yeah, like even just some of the screening requirements, or like Dave said, the basic species that we typically call out. I mean, we don't need to reinvent that for every project. That should be something that we just have ready to go.
Yeah, we can go through it with the applicant, and that way, and you also want to avoid an applicant coming back and saying, well, I didn't discuss that. And then that just becomes a headache for us in the planning department. So we just think that there's a couple things that we're doing that, we kind of tuned up the language too, to say, based on such and such recommendation. And, the project leads in the planning department will have shared that information before you see the resolution. And, again, that information's in the draft packet as well, so you can take a look at it. So between that Wednesday, when you see the draft packet and before it goes out for the final on Friday, if anything has to get revised or edited, that's our time to do it. So we're working with, Clark and Laura to see if those timelines, we've got the 10 days, we're happen to be in a really, really, really busy stretch. And that's, it's good for a lot of us, but it's also means we have some late meetings and a lot of things going on.
And this is very much like what Laura had the CAC do. They have their list of things that they pretty much hit every applicant on: solar, pesticide free. So they created a document kind of identifying all those, so they can basically just hand that to an applicant. And the more we can work that into some of the conditions that we have on resolutions, the better. So again, we're not reinventing it for every project.
All right. Great. So if there's no more further commission business, we get a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Chairman.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Laflamme and second by Ms. Gold. All in favor, state by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned at 9:41 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.